Humans do horrible things to animals every day. Deforestation, factory farms, genetic abominations that go against the laws of nature. But to be truly against animal abuse, you must be against all animal abuse, even if it is animal abuse. In this video, we're going to talk about some of the horrible abuse that animals face carried out by other animals. And I am taking those criminals to court so they may be charged for their crimes. Court is in session. The first animal I call to the stand is the male elephant seal. I accuse you of the crimes of infanticide, coercion, assault and battery, exploitation, and mass sexual assault. I'll provide my opening statement. Many of the viewers at home and members of the jury do not know this, but male elephant seals have very violent mating systems. It is estimated that only 1% of all elephant males will ever reproduce with their female counterparts. This occurs because the most dominant and violent male elephant seal, known as the beachmaster, will violently assault and force out any competing males. These beachmasters set up entire sections of the beachfront in which they will have up to 120 female seals in their harem. Over the course of about 3 months, the male elephant seal will force himself upon any and all female seals that stay on his side of the beach. The male elephant seal will bite down on the neck of the female seal and forcefully breed with her, as you can see right here. The female seal is quite visibly under duress. The females do this out of a need for protection against predators whilst they give birth, exploiting the situation of these helpless seals in order to appease his own sick fantasies. Not only that, but during these vicious assaults against the female seals or during the violent battles against competing male seals, sometimes baby seals get trampled on and killed by these larger male seals, especially when the beachfront is particularly crowded, leading to the sight of crushed baby seals being not so uncommon. It seems the Canadian is not the only natural predator of the baby seal. A little last minute, but I also would like to add the charge of public indecency as well, as these elephant seals are probably the ugliest seals that I've ever seen. Most seals are quite cute and friendly, but the ugliness of these elephant seals seems to exist not only on the inside, but also on the outside. The prosecution rests their case. A strong case has been made against the male elephant seal. As judge, I find the defendant both guilty and ugly, and by the power vested in me by the court, I sentence the male elephant seal to indefinite solitary confinement. Bring in the next criminal. The next animal I call to the stand is the male smoothbox crab, or by their scientific name, caliper. An exceptionally unserious and stupid name, might I add. A better name for them might be the Epstein crab, and I'll explain why. I accuse this crab of the crimes of child trafficking, false imprisonment, abduction, and child grooming. Some serious charges, yes, but here's my proof. The mating habits of the smoothbox crab are deceptive. During mating season, the smoothbox crab will run up to a pack of female crabs and just carry one away to be his wife. These crabs often carry their wives around for weeks at a time until they're ready to molt and breed. You might have seen a few viral posts about these crabs calling this behavior cute, but those were most likely paid posts by smoothbox crab PR firms. What this actually is abduction and kidnapping, carrying around a female crab until just the right time for their sick intentions. That's not even the worst of it. A male smoothbox crab that cannot find any unpartnered female crabs will oftentimes resort to stealing the wives of other male smoothbox crabs. There's a whole underground female crab trafficking ring that many people aren't even aware of. Some of the male crabs will target young, unmatured female crabs and carry them around until they're ready to breed. Truly a sick and perverted species. They bring disgrace to the Brachyura true crab name. If you'd like to know more about true and fake crabs, maybe check out this video created by a rather handsome YouTuber. If you could kindly refrain from undisclosed ads in my courtroom, that would be much appreciated. Anyway, these crabs even know themselves that they are sick perverts, as when they are finally caught, they hide their faces in shame behind their big, meaty claws. There are even reports that they have a special island that they utilize to facilitate child trafficking, and that they blackmail crab politicians with these underage crabs into supporting their political agendas and crab ethnostate. But that's just hearsay, and I don't have any substantial proof of that just yet. A truly despicable individual we have here in this courtroom. I believe further investigation is required for appropriate sentencing. Until then, have him put under 24/7 video surveillance. And fellas, make sure the video feed don't suspiciously turn off this time. Bring in the next criminal. The next animals I call to the stand are the entire ant species. They're probably the most abundant and violent species that we know of. I'm going to list just a few of the many crimes that these ants engage in. Genocide, slavery, kidnapping, use of chemical weapons on civilian populations, forced sterilization, identity fraud, cannibalism, infanticide, and the use of illegal torture techniques, just to name a few. Let's begin with the Argentine ants, who are the genociders in question. You could estimate their kill count to be easily in the hundreds of trillions, a feat unheard of for any animal that is visible to the naked eye. The Argentine ant is considered a super invasive species, and their one trick to being able to outcompete any other ant species is quite literally the power of friendship. Normal ants consider other ant nests of the same species to be foreign, but the Argentine ants are all friendly to other Argentine ants, allowing them to form these mega colonies and just outcompete and kill literally everyone else. The Formicinae and Myrmicinae ant subfamilies are those most associated with kidnapping and slave making. They will conduct and plan out raids on other ant nests. Some of these ants are actually completely incapable of taking care of their own nests without the use of slave labor. They have practiced slavery for so long that they no longer have the ability for foraging and nest building to sustain their own nests. Sometimes queens of the Formicinae nests will infiltrate other nests, disguising their hormones with the same chemicals from workers found outside the nest, and then kill their queen and take their identity. It's some Agent 47 shit right there. That's not all. Many ant species will engage in cannibalism for many different reasons. Say if there are larvae from different queens, one queen will cannibalize the other larvae in order for her own to survive. They'll also eat sick and infected ants to prevent the spread of diseases, which is pretty extreme. It would be like if your grandmother had a gangrenous leg, and your family decided to serve her up with a side of roast potatoes and gravy. Probably delicious. Definitely a crime. Evidence for the crime of forced sterilization can be attributed to literally all ants, as most queen ants will secrete pheromones to stop the development of ovaries in worker ants, which is definitely a war crime. Not only that, but other indoctrinated workers will seek out and kill any worker ants that try to lay eggs whilst a queen is present. Probably the most interesting and damning charge I bring is the use of chemical weapons. Although, unlike other spurious accusations of chemical warfare, I actually have receipts. Here is a large group of Formica rufa ants in formation firing chemical artillery at the general direction of their enemy. If you didn't know, indiscriminate firing of chemical weapons is most definitely a war crime, and I expect nothing less than to see these ants at The Hague. That's not all though, as some ants take it one step further, such as the Colobopsis explodens, which are ants that will run up to you, contract a muscle, and explode sticky chemical goo all over their target. It's actually worse than I'm describing because this goo is toxic and often kills any that come into contact with it. A final remark I thought I had to mention as well is that in some ant species there is no queen and they use gamergates to create offspring. Which is pretty funny because I think I've heard just about enough from these dastardly devils. Unfortunately, it would be nigh impossible to actually arrest the 10 quadrillion ants that are around the world. So we might have to put a pin in this conversation till we acquire the means to actually catch and process all of these criminals. That being said, bring in the next criminal. The next criminal I call to the stand are male sea otters. Didn't expect to see these cuddly little guys here, did you? Well, it turns out that these guys are deceptively evil. I accuse the male sea otter of the crimes of child trafficking, kidnapping and ransoming, infanticide, and child molestation. As cute as these guys look, don't let them deceive you with their stupid little rocks. These violent animals are often seen lurking and kidnapping baby seals. They will then drag them underwater and violently assault them, biting them and mounting them, all for their own sick pleasure. In the process of this attack, the baby seals are often held underwater for extended periods of time, which inevitably causes them to drown and die. Life seems to be pretty shit for most baby seals, having to dodge obese elephant seals and perverted sea otters to only grow up and be forced to become involuntary celibates that take their frustration out on baby seals. This behavior of violent assault is standard procedure for otter mating, and in normal circumstances, 10% of female otters will also be drowned by the males during these violent reproductive behaviors. If this wasn't bad enough, male otters will sometimes kidnap the young of female otters and force them to pay a food ransom for their child to be released. So, not only are they deadbeat fathers, but they'll go out of their way to make the lives of single mothers harder. They're kind of like landlords, except landlords do it from a place of love and actually provide value to society. Male sea otters are just disgusting little perverts. The male sea otter has demonstrated on many occasions that they're willing to abuse and attack any and all to satisfy their sick purposes. Their repeated abuse of single mothers honestly sickens me. How dare you appropriate landlord culture? And for these reasons, I sentence the male sea otter to 1 million years dungeon. Bring in the final criminal. The final animal I will be calling to the stand is none other than the silver pearlfish. Don't be fooled, because these little creatures get up to some really nasty business. I accuse the pearlfish of the crimes of breaking and entering, grievous bodily injury, sexual assault, murder, and squatting. The silver pearlfish start life out just floating in the ocean, swimming around, until they can sense a sea cucumber. They will then swim towards the sea cucumber's anus and forcefully make their way inside. They then make a home for themselves inside the sea cucumber and begin to eat the sea cucumber alive from the inside. They will primarily target the intestines and the gonads of the sea cucumber, eating them slowly whilst the sea cucumber is still alive. The worst part about these little buggers are that they can grow up to 10 inches in size. Imagine having something that is 10 inches in your... Well, some of you probably don't have to imagine, actually. Anyway, these pearlfish will stay inside the sea cucumber until it slowly dies from internal organ damage. There are other crimes that this disgusting pearlfish commits, but we thought that they were not appropriate for a courtroom setting. A heinous list of crimes made only worse by the targeting of landlords, a truly hard-working and victimized class within society. I hereby sentence the silver pearlfish to total annihilation. We must wipe these freaks off the face of the earth. That is all for today. Court is adjourned. And that's all we have today for animal abuse. If you liked the video, consider liking and subscribing. But other than that, thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the next one. Bye.